This is like a TV commercial here, looking at the cheese dripping. Well, we did it. It's Friday night, and welcome to Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Alstel. The show is sponsored tonight by C&H Financial Services, also by our friends at Siren Records in McHenry. So here's the deal. As I'm recording this, I'm on episode 596, or if you're from Chicago, 596. I'm episodes away from episode 600 and getting closer to returning to doing interviews in my car, sharing chicken tenders, pizzas, and tacos with utter strangers in the front seat of the car. That said, fully vaccinated strangers moving forward. But that's going to happen really soon. So I'm looking for restaurants. I'm looking for fully vaccinated guests who want to be part of this show moving forward. I'm excited to get back out into the hot zone where I've spent very little time over the past 13 months. But I'm still going to do interviews just like this. I love the ability, the flexibility to do things from the proverbial home office, to talk to people who may not be able to jump in the car, to people who are from out of state or out of country. I'm still going to use this as a part of the Car Con Carne experience. But yeah, the bottom line is I'm also going back to the car. That's coming soon. It is Friday nights, and joining me is Justice Hill. Perfect timing. I love that. I turn the camera on right as you're pounding a beer, because that's the best. You got to be lubricated for these interviews.
Yeah, I figure that's the way to go.
That is absolutely the way to go. Timing is everything, Justice Hill. The video for Out of This just hit today.
Yeah, mere hours ago at noon.
Mere hours ago. Cool vibe. Cool vibe to the song. I love the sax at the end of it. But the video, you wake up, you put on some slippers, and you begin a trippy day around the house. Why don't you explain what the concept is for the video?
Well, it's kind of, I guess you wake up. It's the classic tale. We've all been there. You wake up, you don't know what's going on, and the character, me, I guess, I see some type of ladder, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna climb this ladder right here and see what's up with this. And as we've all been there, once again, you get up to the top, fantasy, crazy dream, psychedelic trip of a time. Just trying to make a fun video that kind of expresses getting out of yourself.
And tell me who the other voice is on this song and on Nighttime Love. Who's your collaborator there?
So Ishay. So he's actually from Chicago. He's a trans artist out of Chicago, currently living in New York, going to NYU for like music business. And he was one of the first people I played music with in Chicago. I moved here like 6 years ago, and it was pretty difficult to meet people. And he was just one day heard me play and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a keys player for this band." And I was like, "I'm dying to play with someone." And it turned out he just had bars like crazy. And over the years we've just formed this great friendship, and we've become really close. And it's like my go-to person for all music. So he's even on another song on the album called "Nighttime Love," which it comes out soon. No one's heard it yet.
I might have heard it, and true to its name, "Nighttime Love." Okay. This is the kind of song that should be played long after the sun goes down.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely.
I like what are the benefits, if there are benefits to be found in pandemic life for the past 13 months, is being able to see into people's personal lives, people's homes. I can't help, Justice, but I'm looking at your room. I'm like, oh, there's Sly and the Family Stone's greatest hits. I saw Marvin Gaye and Pink Floyd. I'm getting like some insight into.
That's actually from an Oakland Coliseum show, May 9th, 1977. Yes. A 74-year-old man gave that to me for my 23rd birthday. He was at that show.
That's amazing. That's the Pigs tour right there.
Yeah. Pink Floyd's like my favorite band. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see Roger Waters last time through?
I did. It was a gift from a friend of mine, and I will forever be thankful to her. It was amazing.
At the United Center.
Yeah, at the United Center. It was like one of the best shows of my entire life. It was a dream come true.
We're going to talk about Justice Hill. I want to be clear, but that show. Okay. One of the things that struck me so much about that show was how well he used the space in the indoor stadium to his advantage. The
It was
theatrics, the props. I've
it
never
was
seen the United.
insane.
Yes, I've never seen the United Center used to that great effect before.
I, I, I mean, I have hard. You'd be hard pressed to find any show use a space that well. Like it was insane. Like the overarching thing that went all the way to the back of the stadium or a center that just like came down for the I forgot what song.
I think it was Pigs.
For pigs, yeah. When he brought the giant pig around,
Yeah,
or the giant Trump thing. Ooh,
yeah, that
it's
was
huge.
mind
It was
blowing.
such a big spectacle.
It was. All
Yeah.
right, so back to Justice Hill.
Okay.
So as we're recording this,
Yeah.
we're less than a week. We're just a handful of days away from your first full album, Room with a View. That
Yeah.
comes out. So you'll be able to stream it on Bandcamp and everywhere, I guess, on the 20th and 420.
Mhm.
You put out an EP last year, New June, and I guess I mean at that point last year, the question was, well, when's the full album going to come? And well, here we are, less than a year later.
I did it.
I guess I want to take a step or two back because 7 years ago, I mean, things are looking pretty great for Justice Hill right now. But 7 years ago, you dropped out of Berkeley. You were living in
Yeah.
your car. This is
Yeah.
a story that could have gone in a bad direction.
Yeah. It was a rental car. It was a rental car too. I didn't
Even
even own the
worse,
car.
you had to return.
It was really good. It was pretty shitty. Yeah.
So talk about the circumstances that led you to Chicago and led you to writing and
Well,
concepting this record.
well, uh, right after that, so I did have a job during that. So I had a waiting job. So the circumstances was I had like at that moment I was 22. I was like 24 or 23, and I wanted to move out of Boston kind of and be closer to family.
Mhm.
And I needed to kind of start over. I needed a fresh slate. So the closest I'm from Kalamazoo, and my grandmother, who I was very very close to, was getting older, and I wanted to help take care of her. And she lived in New Buffalo, and I knew that I had to pursue music at all costs. Like this, you struggle in life, you go through things. It's kind of be for something at a certain point, and I've spent all that time, so I knew Chicago was the place I could make it all happen. I didn't need a car. I could take the train out to New Buffalo to see Maka. That's what I call her. And yeah, out of that and through just moving somewhere alone, being alone, and having just losing all those things and being like, okay, well, I have to start from nothing now. I didn't have any instruments. I had those stolen and stuff. It was a long. It says I didn't make the greatest decisions as a youngster, but you live and you learn. And over the course, I realized I wanted to do a full album. I wrote the first version of this like maybe 4 years ago. And I think it was right before I got my first keyboard in town. Like I was using like an old 2007 Mac. It was, and then finally got like a better and better serving job. I worked at this like karaoke bar in the River North. I worked at a strip club.
It just dawned on me. You just got your first keyboard a few years ago?
Yes. Like in college, I didn't have my own keyboard.
But you had to.
One.
You're
I used practice rooms.
But you knew how to play, right? Because you're too accomplished of a player to have just picked it up a few years ago.
So when I was 16, I taught myself piano.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm a classically trained singer, so I've been like trained to sing my whole life. But when I started playing piano, I like learned a song. I like learned like just some pop song to try to ask this girl out, and I was like, wow, I learned that really fast. And then I just kind of kept going with it. By the end of the summer, I was like pretty good. I learned like all the Beatles songs, like all the Elton John songs, and starting to get into more psychedelic rock stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do this instead.
And as a side note, I'd love to hear you sing those Elton and Beatles songs because you got that cool deep baritone type of voice.
Yeah.
So all right, so you got that cheap keyboard a few years ago, and so this was like a gradual thing. You're kind of building yourself back up metaphorically and physically. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just like at each stage of this process, the music got better, and then like I was like, oh well, I have to rewrite the songs, and then it just then I met Ishay and I started playing other people's bands. So then I finally had my first show. And, maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago, and that was like the first time I like played these songs out. And then during fast forward a couple years, I redid it all during coronavirus. And you know, yeah,
So I wanted to ask you landed in Chicago. You met Ishay.
yeah,
Dropping yourself or parachuting into any music scene is risky. It's a lot of unknowns. This is a great
yeah.
city to drop yourself into, but aside from meeting Ishay and building that collaboration, what was it like integrating yourself into this scene? Was it welcoming? Was it comforting? Did you have to fight your way through it?
It felt the scene is very welcoming at times, but it's I mean a lot of times it was difficult for me to kind of figure out. For some reason, I just couldn't find like the circles to talk to or like ever get a grasp, or it was hard for me to be let in. I feel like I don't know if you could tell, but I'm like a huge person. I'm like 6'9", like 300 something pounds, and I come in acting goofy, being like, "Hey, I play the piano." It's not your everyday like, is this guy serious or what? So I understood the initial like struggle of it, but once I started meeting people, like I met Trey Elder, and I started meeting cats like Rich Jones, or even like older DJs like Larry Miller, and I don't know if you know them, but I found a place to hang out with, and
Well, and just to backtrack, Trey Elder, Quiet Pterodactyl,
yes,
he's the guiding force, the creative thrust behind the Situation Chicago
Chicago Records, yes.
benefit. Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, so you
Him
started
and I are
networking
very
with
very close.
the right people, the people who you needed to associate with.
Yeah. And also just like making friends, like like we have I had to meet mutual people that love like just obsessed with New Jack Swing and stuff, and people that could talk about that for hours on end, and he was one of them. I guess.
So talk about the last year. I mean, I believe that we're going to see, and we're starting to see, a music baby boom. It's kind of like after all the World War II soldiers came back from the war, all of a sudden, hey, babies everywhere. I feel like that's going to be the same thing with music, because no
Dude,
one could play out. Everyone was
everyone's
woodshedding at home.
dude. People really put their heads like nose to the grindstone and really are hammered these albums out. It's
I mean,
like
you put out an EP less than a year ago. You've got a full length album coming out on the 20th, which has none of the songs that were on the EP. I mean, you've
no,
been busy. You've been busy.
yeah. I have been. Well, it just kind of snowballed. Like I I was already working on this album. Like I had an album almost done twice in the past 2 years, and I started from scratch for this. Like I wrote that EP. I released the first song actually on 420 last year, so it's like the full year to the day
Mm-hmm.
out. And I wrote that song, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do a whole EP." And then I wrote out of this, or I just kind of was producing one day. I was gonna make a beat tape, and I made it out of this one day, and I was like, "Wow, this is like fun." And I was playing it for my friend. I was like, "I think this is gonna be like a single I release later this year." And he was like, "Dude, what's the album called?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I should just do the whole album again." And so, like, starting in August, I pretty much worked on the album every day until I finished 10 p.m. the day of the insurrection. So, like, maybe 3 hours before that, I was like, "This is the greatest day of my life."
Talk about ultimate high, ultimate low, all
Dude,
within the span of hours.
it was hilarious. And people online were like, "Oh, that didn't last." It
And
was so funny.
welcome to the past 13 months. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like
life
that's what
giveth,
that's
life taketh away. It's yeah.
yeah. I
So
was like, that's how it
the,
works.
this album that's coming out, we talked about Out of This, which the video's out. People can get a sample of what you sound like. I love that song. And Ishay, again, that collaboration
Yeah.
just works. I don't want to get too deep into the songs because people can't hear them quite yet. I will say, when people are able to wrap their ears around it, my favorite song on the album is Without Them. I love the chorus.
Really?
I love the keys. It's definitely one of the more up-tempo songs on the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's definitely one that spoke to me. And I like Empathy Machine too. That's a very vibey song,
Okay.
very slow build. It's
Well,
it's
thank you
cool.
so much.
And we talked about
Awesome.
Nighttime Love with Ishe.
Yeah.
That's just a sexy sounding song.
I can swear, man.
It's a podcast. You could whatever makes you happy,
I was
Justin
like,
Hill.
there needs to be a fucking song on the album somewhere.
Yeah, you can't have that Marvin Gaye record behind you. Not.
I can't. Yeah, I was like, I'm doing everyone a disservice, especially myself, if I'm not putting one fucking song.
That's right. So we talked about Situation Chicago. You were on the first one.
Yes.
And that was one of the songs that was on your EP, New June. Are you going to be on the next one too?
Me? No. I'm not going to be on the next one. I know there's so we're getting out of this press to vinyl for an exclusive single run of Maxi 7 single, so it's going to be like a one-sided 12-inch,
which is so cool.
Yeah, I'm psyched, man.
Because let's be honest, 45s or 7 inches suck. You play them for 3 minutes, you got to get up. They're cool to have, but as a listener, they're no fun. 12 inches.
You don't play them at your house unless unless in the morning you're drinking coffee and you only got 5 minutes.
Exactly. So the one-sided 12-inch single, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's 3 songs. It's going to be that. There's this guy DJ Honeybun did a remix of my song "If and When It Ends," so that's going to be on there. And so I think that was going to originally be included in the second one, but then he kind of snowballed it into the accompanying Maxi 7.
That works.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to be Justice Hill. This album, I mentioned your voice. You don't sound really like anyone I can point to, which is one of the greatest things I think I can say about your music is you have a very unique vocal style. You're an accomplished piano player. You're a hell of a producer. I think this album's terrific. I think you did a really great job on Room with a View. And again, it comes out on the 20th on 4/20. All right. So if people want to support you, Justice Hill, do they go to Bandcamp? Is that the best place?
Yeah, you're gonna want to go to Bandcamp, 100% to support me. You go to justicehillmusic.com. That takes you to the Bandcamp. It's that easy.
It's that easy.
There you go. You do that. You're gonna have pre-order my album. It's gonna be great. You might even have a link to see my other stuff, like the Out of This music video. It's a fun ride.
It's trippy. It's trippy. All right, Justice Hill, stay right there. We're going to stop the live broadcast. Thank you for watching on Facebook and YouTube, or for listening. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, thank you for that.